What's going on, everyone? My name is Scorpion and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Indigo Disc Wi-Fi battle. Now today is not just any Wi-Fi battle, we are having a nice high-level Smogon overused game with the best not really. Now the best not really, for those who are in the Battle Hub Draft League Discord server, should need no introduction, but he is a very strong battler and a very good friend of mine in the server who I've actually never got to battle in the Draft League itself before. We miraculously kind of dodged each other throughout the 2 seasons, and I thought that was a real shame because I've seen this guy play. I think he's an insanely solid player and he always cooks up some really creative sets. So yeah, I just one day hit him up, was like, yo, you want to play an OU game? And he's like, yeah, let's do it, brother. So here we are. We even have like a little timer for this battle, so no timer shenanigans. And I'm going to be using something that I don't normally do. I'm going to be using this Choice Band Iron Boulder balance team, which I'm very excited to try out. Now I didn't make this team myself, it was made by my homie Vigilante V8 on Pokemon Showdown. So I'll leave a link to the paste with the sets and stuff in the description down below. Or alternatively, if you want to use the team ID, you can find it in the top right corner if you want to use the team for yourself. But anyway, I will be doing a post commentary of this battle because it was quite a long one, so I cut out all the little tidbits that weren't necessary. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy, and with that being said, let's jump right into the team preview. Alright y'all, here we are with that battle against the homie Da Best Not Really, and he's got a really cool looking team. He's got the OGERPON TEAL mask form, which I respect the hell out of, the Heatran, the Rotom Wash, the Gliscor, the Scizor, and the Dragapult. So immediately from the team preview, I was thinking this looks more like a bulky offense team, probably with like a Choice Dragapult, or maybe even with a Choice Banded OGERPON. Like I said in the intro, this is a post commentary because I wanted to, because we had the timer going and everything, and as you can see I'm using this very bulky balance team. I basically wanted to like cut out the decision making and stuff and like the little tidbits, so it would be a bit of a smoother video. If you guys like this sort of high level OU content, please let me know in the comment section down below, and I would happily do more videos like these because playing with a 60-minute timer is always very pleasant. Now I was looking at this matchup at the time and I thought that I think unless the Dragapult is banded, I actually think I have a pretty good lead with Meowscarada, because knockoff basically hurts everything, and even Flower Trick is going to do a lot of damage to leads like the Rotom Wash. Or if not, I can always U-turn on something. So I led with Meowscarada here, and we're going to get right into the game. So here we are, and he is going to lead off with Grim, the Dragapult, in a Beast Ball even, which is really cool, as I led off with my Meowscarada. Now, unfortunately, I kind of realized this at the start. If he, even if he's like Specs, I can't die in one hit, but I will go down to 1 HP, and I still quite like to preserve my Meowscarada. Bandit is not the worst case scenario for me, because I don't take much damage from anything. And so I was thinking to go into one of my walls, and the best thing I have to check this is the Garganacl, which actually has the wrong ability. It's supposed to be Purifying Salt, but I have Sturdy on this. Yeah, we're gonna go into a Garganacl, a legit shiny Garganacl, of which I forgot to change the ability, whoopsie. And he is indeed gonna go for a U-turn. Now that damage actually does tell me that it is more than likely Specs, because if it is banded it would do a lot more, because I am a specially defensive Garganacl. Now, very good play from the best to scout for my intentions there and immediately just go for that U-turn. And he's going to go into the Rotom Wash. Now, again, I am especially defensive here, so I can take on this Rotom Wash pretty well. Salt Cure is going to hurt a lot, but obviously I don't really want to take a big Hydro Pump chip, especially if this somehow ends up being an offensive Rotom. So I decided to go for 1 Protect here, just to quickly scout what he's going to do. Maybe he's going to try and trick a Choice item onto me. That would definitely make sense. But he does indeed go for a Hydro Pump. Now, I obviously don't know if this thing is Choice locked into that. But if he is, then I can pivot into my Meowscarada. And if he's not, then again, because I'm especially defensive, I shouldn't take much damage from anything. So I was thinking, you know what, I'm actually going to make the Meowscarada play, because you shouldn't ever go for a Will-O-Wisp here, respecting the Purifying Salt. And I don't take anything from this thing stabs, and I can go for a strong U-turn if anything. So I go into my Meowscarada, he does indeed go for the Hydro Pump, and that does some pretty solid damage. Again, Meowscarada not exactly being the bulkiest one in the world, but I do take it rather well. So here I'm actually in a really good position to fire off one of my banded attacks, because Choice Band Meowscarada is one of my main breakers here. Unfortunately, he does have like a Scizor in the back, obviously, and maybe a Heatran. So Flower Trick is not the best play in the world, but I can go for either a U-turn or a knockoff. I'm quickly trying to get up my calc to see how much that does to each of them, and they both do a good amount of damage. However, I also don't really want to U-turn into a defensive Rotom and then give him momentum back. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm actually just going to knock off just to see what he does. And he is actually going to reveal Protect as well, meaning he is not Choice. So that's more leading towards a defensive Rotom. I go for the knockoff. Obviously it's going to transform me into a Dark type, and he's going to hit straight into the Protect, and it's not going to do anything. So from here on out, I honestly don't have much of a reason not to just click knockoff again. I don't resist his stabs unfortunately anymore, but this is going to force some very good progress on him. And we're going to knock off, does over half, which is amazing, and it's going to knock off his leftovers. So that's definitely significant progress being made. However, he retaliates with a Thunder Wave, which is a very solid play. Basically, it means that Meowscarada is going to struggle outspeeding the rest of the team. So he traded half of Rotom's HP and its item for a Paralysis on Meowscarada, which is honestly good for either of us. Now I was thinking to go for another knockoff, because like here, he is pretty free to go for a Volt Switch, and now he is faster, which means I get another Bandit knockoff on anything. He could have also gone for a Hydro Pump and potentially taken me out, but obviously I do have Switch instead of that. So he's going to go into the Heatran, obviously maybe trying to fish for... Sorry, not fish for a Flame Body, because I'm obviously already paralyzed. But may try to tank a hit. And I get another Bandit knockoff off, which does a lot of damage and gets rid of this Heatran's leftovers as well. So Meowscarada still putting in a lot of work with this Bandit set. Now I'm thinking, what do I switch in here? Because I'd quite like to keep Meowscarada around as a sack, and I do have options. So what I was actually thinking of doing is, Heatran these days doesn't typically carry Earth Power, and my Clodsire is actually very special defensive. So I was thinking of going into that, and basically maybe trying to get some spikes up. So I'm going to be withdrawing my Meowscarada, again potentially keeping around as a sack. And we're going to go into our Clodsire here, as the best makes a very solid neutral ground play and just gets up his Stealth Rock. Now I do have the Defog on the Corviknight, but obviously I can't really come in with that on a Heatran. That's very, very risky. So solid play from him there. Now I have a couple of options. Obviously I could try to Earthquake this thing, but it's not likely he's going to stay in. I could also get up some Spikes or fire off a Toxic. The reason why I'm not leaning towards Spikes is because if I do want to get a Defog off later, I'm actually going to take more damage. Or sorry, I'm going to Defog away my own Spikes. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm actually going to make a double switch into my Corviknight, expecting him to go into his Gliscor or his Scizor here. Mainly the Gliscor, as that would allow me to get a Defog off. But the best actually stays in, and he is going to be able to... He's actually going to go for a Taunt, preventing my Clodsire, obviously expecting it to go for either that Spikes or that Toxic. So really risky play for him, but it paid off. Now obviously we're in a bit of a situation, because my Corviknight is still outsped by this Heatran, and I can't afford to lose it here. So the double switch did not work out for me. So I'm thinking of going back into either my Garganacl or the Clodsire. I do end up making the Garganacl play, mainly for the simple reason that I can resist the Magma Storm, which I feel is incoming. And Garganacl obviously can carry the Earthquake, but even Sulkier is going to do a lot to this thing because it is a Steel type. He does end up going for the Magma Storm, it does connect, that's going to do a little bit of chip to my damage to my Garganacl, as well as get me trapped by the Swirling Magma. Now, thanks to Meowscarada's knockoff, I am very, very grateful that this thing's leftovers is now knocked off. He's basically not getting any health back while I'm sort of trying to pivot my way around this, because Heatran is a big threat to my team. Now I've got a decision to make. I can't go for both Stealth Rocks or Sulkier. I do end up going for the Sulkier because, again, I do not want to get up a hazard to then later remove my own Corviknight. So I do end up going for the Sulkier to try and get some progress or something, as he goes into the Gliscor, which is very obviously defensive. It's going to be able to get its Toxicorp activated, but with the Sulkier on, it's basically going to get its healing negated as well, which is very good for me. So Gliscor is going to get poisoned here in a minute, and it's going to get the Sulkier going. So here I have a bit of a decision to make. Do I expect him to go for an Earthquake or maybe a knockoff? Or is he going to continue to hazard stack me? I have wanted to sort of make the more middle ground play, so I'm immediately going to go into Corviknight because it kind of covers all of those options, right? Even if he knocks my Rocky Helmet off, I'm okay with that. And if he starts hazard stacking, I can basically get a opportunity to defog on this thing, which is exactly what I want. I'm going to go into my Corviknight, I'm going to get my pressure exerting again, as he is in fact going to go for a knockoff. So that does again get rid of my Rocky Helmet, but it does do a little bit of chip to damage to the Gliscor. And with the Sulkier on, that's actually going to start racking up quite a bit nicely here, which is very useful. Basically negating the poison heal there. And now I actually am in a pretty good position to just go for a defog. Now he can bring the Heatran back in if he wants to, but I do decide to go for the defog because obviously my team relies a lot on longevity, and I'm actually not running heavy duty boots on any of these mons, so I do decide to go for the defog as he does bring the Heatran back in. Now this is going to force a bit of an interesting 50-50 because I actually have Body Press, which he does not know. Typically Corviknight carries Brave Bird obviously as its main attacking move. So what I actually thought I'd do here is I try to go for a bit of a risk. He knows that I can't really afford to stay in usually, because I would lose my Corviknight if I do. So I'm thinking he's going to try and get his Stealth Rocks back up again. So I'm actually going to risk it and go for a Body Press to see if we can snag the KO on the Heatran right here and now. Because I don't think you'll go for a Magma Storm when the Stealth Rocks are pretty free. As you've seen that my team isn't really carrying heavy boots. So I do actually decide to go for that Body Press here, taking the risk, and it does end up working out for me. The Heatran does set up the Stealth Rocks, which is very strong for him, obviously. But the Corviknight is going to be able to go for a max defense Body Press now and take out the Heatran, which is very big. So the first KO goes to Corviknight and Heatran goes down, which is big for me. Now all I need to do is basically get rid of these rocks and they'll be gone for good. Gliscor can still have spikes, but that's nowhere near as big of a deal for me as Stealth Rocks. Now in comes the Dragapult. This pretty much screams that this thing is choice specs. And I do not have a very good switch into specs Dragapult, unfortunately, because my Clodsire is unaware. So if he decides to drop a Draco on me, he will be able to do it twice and he'll take me out, because obviously it will also drop the special attack drops. However, because of the fact that I don't really have a much better switch in, I am going to chance it anyway. Maybe he doesn't go for a Draco Meteor, because obviously Corviknight is a Steel type. But he does in fact go for it and he drops a Draco. However, what is actually useful is that this is actually a timid Dragapult, it looks like. And that's actually what allows me to not get 2 KO by the Draco Meteor there. If that was Modest, that would have been a 2 KO. That's used for me. I'm going to take this opportunity to go for a Recover, because I find it very, very important to stay at high health here, excuse me. Obviously not wanting to take a Toxic or anything like that, he's going to switch out. And he's actually going to go into the Trader Lord, which is the shiny Scizor right here, which is looking amazing. So I'm going to go for a quick Recover here. Now, the problem here is my Clodsire can barely touch the Scizor at all, and is a very, very strong Mon. So what I'm actually going to try and do is I'm going to try and go into my Meowscarada, because Corviknight might be 2 KO'd by like a strong banded attack from this thing. And I still really wanted to try and get that defo buff. So I was like, you know what, now is better time than ever to try and get my to get a free switch into something, and I'm going to sack off my Meowscarada. So Meowscarada comes in, takes that Rocks Chip, obviously, and the best is indeed going to go for the U-turn, expecting the switch. So good play from him there. Meowscarada goes down, and Scizor is going to go back to the best, giving him a free switch into something else, but obviously we can get a switch in ourselves to counteract that. And he is going to go back into the Rotom Wash, which is actually good for me, because I was hoping that the Dragapult wouldn't come in, and it didn't. So what this actually does for me is, because of the fact that this move hits through Protect, this actually gives, and I also know that it's not Scarf because we knocked off the leftovers, this actually gives me an opportunity to go into my actual main breaker, which this team is centralized around. Quickly just doing a couple of calcs to see how it does. But we're going to go into the Choice Banded Iron Boulder. And I am actually Terra Rock specifically for the Gliscor matchup. Because with Gliscor, with Terra Rock, I can actually 2 KO even a fully physically defensive variant through Poison Heal. So I'm looking at his switches and I'm thinking, okay, he's going to go either, he's either going to stay in with this thing, or he can go Scizor or Gliscor. And nothing switches into a Banded Mighty Cleave really, really well. However, I did actually still want to get rid of my weakness to Ghost, potentially for the Dragapult later, and also get the 2 KO on Gliscor, because I don't 2 KO from where I'm at. So I'm going to use my Terra now, and we're going to go Terra Rock on the Iron Boulder, making me super, super strong with that Mighty Cleave. Mate, this set is the reason why I wanted to use this team. So we are going to Terrestrialize into a Rock Step, and we're going to go for that Choice Band Terra Rock Mighty Cleave, and goodbye Rotom. That gets rid of the Rotom instantly, and Lifeblood goes down. Should have called it Malfunction, SMH my head. I'm joking. Yeah, Choice Banded Iron Boulder is looking really, really good right now. But in comes the Scizor. Obviously this thing threatens me with a Banded Bullet Punch, or he could potentially go for a U-turn. I didn't want to risk either, so I'm actually going to make the hard Corviknight switch. Now this, in my opinion, was actually a bit of a misplay looking back at the game, my sort of major first misplay, because Dondozo is a very easy switch into this. And the best is actually going to reveal a pretty nasty thing here, which is that he is actually close combat with a Choice Band, and that ends up cleanly 2 KOing me rather. So my Corviknight is in KO range. It is in range of the Stealth Rocks, which I now have no way of getting rid of. I do attempt to go for a Roost, but obviously his Scizor is speed invested, and I lose my Corviknight here. Not very proud of that play in hindsight, honestly. I should have just gone into my Dondozo to try and preserve the Corviknight. But I got very greedy and I wasn't expecting Bandit CC, which is a very cool set. However, the fact that this, with the calc, I was able to check if that was choice banded, and obviously that damage on Corviknight pretty much confirmed it, which means he actually can't go for a Bullet Punch right now. And you know what that means? That means we can pretty much force a KO with our choice band Iron Boulder, because again, he is locked into that CC, and he's also got the defense drop. So if this Scissor stays in, he's going to go down, and anything that comes in is also just going to get KO'd. So Choice Banded Iron Boulder is going to be able to come back in, and we're going to click that nice and powerful, juicy, mighty cleave again. So the best is going to have to choose what he wants to sacrifice here. He goes into Marks, which is the Gliscor, as we saw from earlier. And Gliscor, even with no entry as it's up, has absolutely no hope of surviving this. We're going to go for the Mighty Cleave again, and goodbye Gliscor. This is why I wanted to use the set, because it just cleans, or cleaves rather, pardon the pun, through through bulky structures. Now in comes Hornet, the OGERPON, and this thing is very scary. However, at the time of doing this, I was actually thinking, you know, are you Scarf? Because if this thing doesn't have a speed boost, then I can just outrun it. Now, unfortunately, because my Corviknight is down, and that's another reason why I think I made that misplay, I actually don't really have a switch into this thing. So it's like, you know what? I'm just going to scout for a Choice Scarf. I actually don't think these things typically run Choice Scarf, and it does get Grassy Glide as well, but there's no terrain up. So I was thinking, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for the Choice Band Mighty Cleave, because it should take him out. And if he does have a Focus Sash, then you know what? I can manage that, and I can try and win with my bulky Pokemon. So I do go for the Mighty Cleave, and I completely forgot about OGERPON's Terrestrialization mechanic, because as soon as the best pulled out the Terra Orb, I was like, oh, I forgot this thing gets a speed boost when it Terrestrializes. So OGERPON is going to go into its Shining Teal Mask form, and for those who have never seen this form before, Embody Axebat is going to boost its speed, which is absolutely dangerous for me. And he does obviously have the Ivy Cudgel on deck, which is now Terra Grass boosted, and I'm an Iron Boulder, which is just pure rock type. I have no hope in hell of living that. So Iron Boulder unfortunately goes down. But truth be told, I actually didn't really have a good switch into that, even if I didn't know what was coming. So and I'm not in a good position right now, and I don't have the Terra Grass on my Dondozo anymore to shield me against this. So my only hope here is to go Clodsire, because I can live one hit, and I can try to get a Toxic off here. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for that Desperate Toxic to see if I can hang on and to try to get this thing down. But the Besta is having absolutely none of it, and he is going to go into his Trader Lord again, which is the Scissor. So I'm just getting honestly outplayed at this point. There's no hazards up on his side of the field, so there's no punishes for these switches either. And yeah, at this point, there's honestly not much I can do. I've lost my breakers, and he still has like a bunch of powerful choice Pokemon in the back. Now at this point, my only real winning condition at this point is my Cursed Dondozo, which I'm going to try to go into right now. Again, something I should have done earlier. Because if I can get enough curses up to the point where I can somehow live an Ivy Cudgel from OGERPON, then I might be in a good spot, because I also have Rest to heal up. So I'm going to try to go into my Dozo, trying to get it positioned. But the best is, again, having absolutely none of it and just go straight for a Bandit U-turn. Which doesn't do too much to me, but it does put me in a decent range where something else can finish me off. Because obviously I don't have heavy duty boots, so I also have the Stealth Rock damage stacking up on me. And now the OGERPON comes in, once again getting that speed boost. And yeah, I have basically no switch-ins to this. So the best plate is honestly incredible. Set up the OGERPON endgame completely, and I threw away my Corviknight like a complete bozo. Which didn't exactly working out for me. So I'm just going to try to do the same thing. Again, I know that Dondozo is my win condition. Or do I end up doing something else? I actually don't remember what I do here. Let me have a look here. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So I do end up going for the Cursor, trying to obviously go for that win condition. Maybe expecting him to expect me to go into my Clodsire and going for a U-turn, because I know this thing typically carries U-turn. And I do actually remember what I was doing. I was basically just hoping for a throw, but obviously my Clodsire is basically defensive, not physically defensive, so I typically don't have a real reason to, or he doesn't have a real reason to not click Ivy Cudgel there. So I do get my curse off, I do get to +1 attack and defense, but at this point obviously there's no way in a million years that I'm ever going to be able to lift this Ivy Cudgel. And he's going to go for another Ivy Cudgel obviously, and that's going to take my Dondozo out. And at this point, like I mentioned before, my last two Pokemon don't take Ivy Cudgel well at all, especially with the Terra boost. Dondozo goes down, and there's not that much I can do here. All I can do is really just hope that my Garganacl can somehow live, and or my Clodsire, sorry, and get a Toxic off. and that's basically my only real way of winning. So I'm gonna go for the Toxic here. Once again, just hoping and praying that I can live it to a kill, but again, the best, pretending this is a draft league match, wanting to keep the differential. I mean, hey, I respect that. I'm just getting outplayed here. So I think up to the Scissor again. My Toxic is not going to work because this thing is a Steel type. Bet you didn't see that one coming. And yeah, I mean, at this point, I have no other switch-ins because my only other Pokemon at this point is my Garganacl, which is weak to Steel. So I haven't really got much of a choice but to just go for an Earthquake here, as the best is going to be able to fire off that Bandit and Bullet Punch, which is, with the Technician, enough to KO me easily. I'm going for an Earthquake here, maybe just hoping for a crit, see if I can make it work, but nope, the Scizor stays at a good amount of health. And is just going to be able to finish me off with another Bullet Punch. And at that point, the only Pokemon I have left is the Garganacl, which cannot Terra. If I still had my Terra Water left, I mean, maybe we could have made some magic happen. But regardless, the OGERPON is also still in the back, so there's no way I'm going to be able to make this comeback with my shiny Garganacl. It's a very valuable mon, even though it has the wrong ability, don't mention that. But it's not going to be able to pull off this comeback, so I'm just going to go for the Cell Cure as the best finishes with the Bullet Punch, and that is game. But I still really enjoyed that. That was a nice high-level OU match. Big GG's to the best already. It was a real pleasure to battle you, and having this timer and getting to try out some different structures that I'm not normally familiar with was a real pleasure. Hope you guys enjoyed this content. Like I said, usually, let me know if you did. Subscribe if you did enjoy, and also with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.